I asked you guys on YouTube and on Discord to submit what features you would like to see in NBA Live Mobile Season 9. I went through and read every single one of the comments and posts and put them into 5 separate categories. So in this video, I'll go through all of those suggestions as well as giving my thoughts when it comes to potentially adding them to the game. And we're going to kick things off with one that doesn't actually fit into one of these 5 categories, and that is a big reset. This would be where no coins or players would carry over into next season. Of course, NBA cash would, and you would just get rewarded for what you have done in the past season. And I personally would really like that. We have had the same things carrying over between seasons from, I believe, season 5 all the way to now. So people have been saving up coins from season 5, carrying them over bit by bit to now being in season 8. People have millions, sometimes even hundreds of millions of coins as they have just carried over between seasons. Now you might be thinking, I've got some ridiculous multi-year players, as have other people. Wouldn't I be sad to let them go? Partly yes, but I would also love to just have a fresh new start in the game. And the main thing with this is especially the coins, because a load of people, like I said, have carried over those coins. So just having a reset would give them something to grind for again. And especially with players not having that multi-year lineup in the game, being able to use would, in my opinion, actually make the game a little bit better, because again, it's set from zero. Everyone has to start off fresh and just grind the game out from scratch. But I think that is a slightly unpopular opinion. I know a lot of you like to keep the coins going over between seasons, so let me know in the comments down below what you think about that. But now getting on to the first category out of all of these comments, it is going to be the auction house. And the very first thing is simply auction house fixes. We need a bunch of fixes when it comes to the auction house, particularly when it comes to buying and selling players, because at the moment it is practically impossible to get your cards to sell. I've been putting up hundreds of auctions towards maybe the middle of the season and none of them were selling at all. I know that it hasn't changed at all, so I just gave up after once or twice of trying to list all of them. And I know a bunch of people who have been trying, putting up hundreds of auctions at a time and just not getting anything to sell. Previous methods, like putting it at 101 as the bid price, all the way up to a bunch of 9s for the buy now price, it's just not working. And I don't know whether that's just the bots or the starting cap. I don't really understand how the auction house works entirely, because I've never been a pro when it comes to sniping or getting things on the auction house or making a profit and all of that stuff. I've never been an expert on that, but it's just nothing is selling at the moment. And it makes for a real shame, because that is the main way people are going to be able to make coins in this game. So if you take that away from them, there isn't really much other ways of getting a ton of coins except for on the auction house. And if you're buying cards and wanting to sell them out and then being unable to do so, it makes sniping and making profit off cards very, very difficult. And one sort of workaround someone came up with was having higher quick sell prices. Now this would be dependent on how much they're going for on the auction house. So say if a card's going for 1 million coins on the auction house, if I quick sell him at the moment, he might go for like 500 coins up to maybe 2,000 coins, something very low. But if it was say 10%, 15% less than what they're going through on the market itself, and you could be able to just quick sell them, having that guaranteed way of making the coins, I think that would be a fairly nice alternative, just the way the auction house is at the moment. If they're not going to fix the things not selling on the auction house, at least make that quick sell value a little bit higher, because then again, it just gives you another way of making coins and it makes the auction house a little bit better. Another feature someone came up with was trading cards with your friend. Now in my opinion, I doubt this will ever come to the game. The reason the auction house is not player to player as it was back in season 1 is simply coin sellers. People were buying coins on third-party websites. I think how it worked is people would then list up a card for say 1 million coins, because that's what they paid for on the site, and then someone would come along, purchase that card, and they would have 1 million coins on their account. Of course, now it is not player to player, and that is the reason for that. So now it is run by bots, so people are not seeing your auctions come up on the auction house necessarily, so people can't transfer the coins that way. And having player to player trading, I doubt that would be in the game at all, because of course people could just use third-party websites to get some cards and pay that way, which as a company EA would never have in the game. And that's why they removed that from season 1 to season 2. They removed that player to player, the auction house. So yes, it would be nice to be able to quickly trade players with friends, but I doubt it will happen. What we had in NBA Infinite was quite interesting, where I think you could put out a player on trial, so people in your club or league in NBA Live Mobile would be able to go ahead and test out that card for a limited amount of time, which would be kind of fun. Of course, NBA Infinite is differently structured. in how it goes about doing that. I think that'd be fairly nice because say someone gets the promo card, they can lend it out to me and I could do some gameplay with it and stuff like that. I think that'd be a fairly nice addition, but trading cards like how you would think it would be able to do, just one-on-one, just being able to switch cards between players, I doubt that will ever be coming to the game. Another feature someone asked for is to claim all unsold auctions, and again, because loads of people are putting up hundreds or tens of auctions all in one go and them not selling, there is no claim all button at the moment. You have to manually press claim on every single item, which can take absolutely ages to go through it, especially if you're on a slower device. It just takes absolutely ages to get through every single auction you have posted. So a claim all button would be absolutely amazing. It'd be a massive time saver and you just got all of your cards back in one go, or all of your coins if you are being able to sell them. So I think that'd be a very nice feature. We've been asking for it for a very long time. Whether it comes into the game, I'm not sure about, but it would be a very nice feature to add. Next up, we're going to switch things over to brand new game modes. These are game modes people would want to see in the game that are not already in the game itself. And very first one is a 1v1 mode. This would be super fun to have in the game. I don't think I've ever seen a 1v1 mode in the game per se. I've seen 2v2 and 3v3 as well as of course 5v5 in the game, but a 1v1 mode, I can't really remember that being in the game. I could be wrong. It might have been in a past season or a past event or something like that. If you guys remember something like that, let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, it would be very fun. Say I just pick up a Steph Curry card. I want to 1v1 someone with say a LeBron James card or something like that. I'm just picking random scenarios. But we do that. We hop on into a game. Very easy, 1v1. You can test out different things. That would be very nice to do. Aside from that, someone also asked for a 3v3 street ball mode. I believe it was in monthly master, but of course we don't have that this month. And now I think it's in feature collection, but I could be wrong about that. Or maybe that's the 2v2 mode. But yeah, 3v3 street ball mode would be very fun. We've had it in the past with different promos and different events. And yeah, just adding that back to the game would be very nice. It adds different dynamics to the game modes and just makes it a little bit more fun. Someone also asked for a practice mode where you would just have your own court. It's offline pretty much, as in the fact that you're not playing anyone else. You just basically shoot around, try and learn how your player works, maybe test out some 3-point shots, some mid-range, test out what dunks they've got. That'd be also a very nice mode to have. And that could also lend into trading cards with your friends. If you then had a trial period with that card, you could test them out first before you go ahead and use them in gameplay, because you might not be used to them. And of course, you've only got limited time with that card. So I think that'd be a very nice mode to have in the game. Again, it's one of those ones we've been asking for a while, but we've never actually got. We're going to switch things over to the third category, which I made, which is fixes to existing game modes we have got in the game. So these are basically going to be gameplay updates, or of course, specific updates to different modes in the game already. The very first one I've got on my list is posterizing dunks. This would be very nice to have. Of course, some players do have the dunk package, which does of course give them some extra special dunks. But having that contact dunk would be very nice to see someone just drop to the floor completely if you've done an absolutely ridiculous dunk. I'm not a coder by any means, and I would expect this to be fairly difficult to be able to code for, because of course there's physics involved and all of that stuff. And because NBA Live doesn't actually have a console version of the game, they can't rip stuff off of the console version of the game and stick it into this game like 2K Mobile can do. And of course NBA 2K My Team Mobile can do. They can just rip stuff, I believe, off the console version and put it into the game. I'm not a coder by any means. This stuff might be a lot more complex than I'm making it out to be, but having those posterizing dunks would be very nice. Another one was having a set pick button. Now in the game at the moment, you can do the pick and roll. You just have to swipe somewhere on the screen. I believe it's under the autoplay button. It is a little bit janky here and there. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't work. Having a generated pick button would be fairly nice, but if I'm being honest, personally, I never use this feature in the game unless it's just something, oh, I remember how to do a pick and roll, let me just do that now. I don't really use it personally in the game. Let me know though if you do, because I might just not be using it at all and you guys might be using it a lot. So let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we got commentary. I doubt we'll ever have this, but if EA are hiring people to do commentary, I'm always here, happy to do some commentary for the game. Yeah, it's another feature we've been asking for a while. And you look at other games as well, NBA Infinite, they do have commentary in the game. It's very basic, you know, it's not like 2K on console, but that's going to require a lot of file size in order to add to a mobile game. But just having the extra commentary here and there would be fairly nice to have it. Instead of listening to the crowd just shout 3 or defense, all that stuff, having some commentary in the game would be fairly nice. Next up, we got game stats, another one we have been asking for a while. Just in the seasons game, at the end of the game, or even during the game, you can see how many points a player's put up, how many rebounds, assists, all of that stuff it would be fairly nice to have instead of having to manually count it if you are, say, doing a challenge like me, or just to be able to see how well your players are performing game to game. Even in a showdown quarter as well, just being able to see those stats would be fairly nice. Because I know that the game counts these sort of things because sometimes in events, you've got to get an assist, you've got to score some baskets. So somewhere in the game, it's counting what's going on, but it's just having those stats available to us to see at the end of a game would be fairly nice to have. Next up, we got ban hackers and cheaters. Now, this is mainly apparent in League versus League, which is personally not a mode that I play a lot of, but I know in the higher rank leagues, if you're, say, trying to get up to those top ranks, you can come up against cheaters, which has been an issue for a very long time. Again, because it's not a mode I play a lot, I don't really face this stuff, but I do see it on Discord, loads of people complaining about it, and I don't actually know how it works and all that stuff, but I do see some ridiculous points difference for some players, which you can definitely tell have been cheating. So banning all of those guys, fixing that stuff so it can't happen would be absolutely amazing to see in Season 9. I had another comment saying no boost and learn the skill, which essentially went on to say people were using 7-foot players and of course 3-point shooters and all of that stuff, which I kind of get. It can be a little bit frustrating over time. And every single time I go and play 2K Mobile or 2K25, it does feel a lot different. NBA Live Mobile is very much sort of an arcade game where you can just simply run up the court, shoot a 3-pointer, easy bucket, guaranteed make. It's sort of like that. It's a bit more fast paced, whereas of course 2K Mobile, you have to sort of understand basketball a little bit more, use the pick and roll a little bit more to try and get yourself a good amount of space. It's tougher to make shots on that game, but I actually like NBA Live Mobile having the quicker pace. Sometimes not, yes, and sometimes going over to 2K is a little bit more sort of sit down, slow things down a little bit, figure out what you're doing, and it is a bit more rewarding in that sense. But then again, I like having the fast-paced stuff, and if you don't, then you can always switch over to 2K. I know there's no sort of in-between mode where some of those features of slowing the game down is going to be in NBA Live Mobile, but personally, I kind of like having the quicker pace feel to the game. But then I also see the fact that there is a lack of skill gap in NBA Live Mobile, because as I said, it's very easy to just run up the court, shoot a 3-pointer, whereas when you're on a 3v3 match in 2K, you have to work really hard to get yourself a good open look in order to make the basket. So I do think there needs to be an additional skill gap to the game in NBA Live Mobile just to sort of balance things out a little bit. And so people who spend a lot of money and get insane cards but can't actually play the game well are, say, going to be on the same level as someone who is very, very good at playing the game itself but have slightly worse cards. Whether that comes to fruition, I have no idea. Next up, we got new graphics. Again, this is not something I believe will change in the game, but it would be a nice feature to have, as of course we basically got the same gameplay from, I don't even know, like Season 2, Season 3, or even Season 1. It's basically looked the same throughout, and of course EA haven't really changed much to do with the graphics, and to be fair to them, the file size of the game has remained fairly small compared to other mobile basketball games. You look at NBA Infinite, that's about 3 gigs, 2K Mobile, again about 3 gigs, 2K24, my team was like 10 gigs or something like that. They got a lot better graphics on their game compared to we got on NBA Live Mobile, which again is kind of that balance between making it available for everyone versus having it lag, quit out unexpectedly like 2K Mobile does on some people's devices. So again, that's that balance there, but new graphics, it would be fun to see. Next up, we got fouls and timeouts, which at the moment, fouls, of course, you can get fouled, you can get sent to the free throw line. There's no set button of, say, intentionally fouling, and it is very rare of getting to that free throw line. However, it does happen in the game. Having that be a bit more of a thing in NBA Live Mobile, and also timeouts, I think would have to have a whole redesign, especially in seasons mode, because at the moment, if you call a timeout, what's the point? There is no point in you calling timeout in a seasons mode at the moment. If seasons mode's got a revamp, say we had energy levels on players and stuff like that, and you were running tactics, then maybe the timeout would become important. But personally, at the moment, I don't really see the need for adding a timeout mode in the game currently. Again, if there were changes to some of the modes like seasons, potentially showdown, but not really, mainly seasons mode, there was changes to that, then I think timeouts would become a very useful feature. Next up, we got open all unclaimed packs, and the amount of screenshots I've seen of people on Discord with an absolutely ridiculous amount of unclaimed packs is actually nuts. Like personally, I will never have more than, say, 10 packs left on my bench unless I'm saving them up for a video, but some people have over 1,000 unclaimed packs, which, yes, I get, will take up your inventory space once you open them. So I do understand this open all unclaimed packs button, but I mean, come on, why have you saved up that many packs to open? Why not just open them, quick sell some tokens here and there? I don't really understand it, but yeah, it would be a nice feature to have, just opening all your packs in one go, especially if you got thousands and thousands, although opening them all in one go might just break the game. And the final one in this section is a difficulty option for seasons mode. Now, as you get through the seasons, your opponents do actually increase in overall. Of course, their stats get boosted, so the difficulty does get a little bit harder as you go through the seasons, but having that difficulty option would make it just a bit quicker. You could go into it instead of having to play those really easy seasons games. games, when you're coming up, say, a 60 overall team or a little bit higher than that, and you've got a ridiculous lineup, very easy to get the win. You can just autoplay it. Having that difficulty option would make it a bit more of a challenge. But now we'll switch over to the penultimate section, which is players and cosmetics. And the first one is fixing player models, especially Wembanyama. Now, when I did gameplay with Wemby for the first time in Season 8, when he dropped, the player model was completely off, and it just hasn't changed at all throughout the season. I don't know whether that's something that's wrong with the gameplay side of things. Maybe it's just hard to make these player models. I don't know. I'm not a game designer or developer or anything like that, but just tweaking them a little bit surely shouldn't be too difficult to do. We've had issues with player models in the past, but really they do need a fix, especially Wembanyama. It looks nothing like him in the game at the moment. Next up, we got having a bigger catalog of players such as MJ, Kobe, and other old school players. And the reason we don't have that at the moment is simply rights, I believe. Like, EA probably don't have the rights to MJ because he's probably with 2K on an exclusive deal. Kobe as well, probably similar things there. And old school players, it's just getting the rights to them, because I think if you're in the NBA at the moment, EA do have the rights to that because they've got NBA licensing. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to all of these licensing rights, so I could be completely wrong about all of this stuff, but I believe that's the case. You look at 2K at the moment, they've lost the rights to some of the players, especially old school ones for 2K25. Like, I don't think they've got Bill Russell in the game. Of course, they've had mods and people can make face scans and all of that stuff, but they don't officially have them in the game at the moment. So of course, NBA Live Mobile is just a mobile game, so I don't expect EA to be spending a ridiculous amount of money trying to get these licensing rights to be able to use the players in the game. Yes, it would be really fun. Like, we did have Kobe Bryant in NBA Live Mobile Season 1. I'm not sure whether we had him in Season 2. I think it was just Season 1, but that's because he was still in the league at the time. So of course, EA would probably have the right to be able to use him in the game. But yeah, having those old school players probably requires some more money to be spent. And because NBA Live Mobile is not a massive game, like you look at FIFA Mobile, that is probably EA's biggest mobile game. Even Madden Mobile is probably bigger than NBA Live Mobile. So EA can probably spend more money on those games. They have a bigger budget to be able to get those rights for players, whereas NBA Live Mobile is not really likely going to happen. But I can't say it wouldn't be nice to see Kobe Bryant back in the game, or just old school players that we haven't seen a lot of in NBA Live Mobile. And you will have noticed, if you've been playing the game, there has been a drop off in what players are available, especially old school ones when it comes to the game. The next suggestion is street courts with boosts and vintage jerseys. Now, we haven't had custom courts in the game, I want to say, since Season 4. That's the last time I can remember those custom courts. Again, it might be a licensing issue trying to get designs, but I'm sure people in the community could design some absolutely ridiculous courts and jerseys to be able to stick in the game. So I would really love to see this, just having those courts and jerseys, especially unique ones, because it just feels like you're using the same jerseys and the same courts again and again and again. Even when we get promos that give out a jersey, give out a court, they are basically the same ones, just rehashed again and again and again. Someone also said platinum boosts, and I mean, that's just dependent on the season and how that goes. At the moment, we haven't got those +6 crazy boosts we have seen in past seasons, and that is kind of understandable because last season we did get up to 115 overall very quickly, whereas at least this season it has been a little bit slower in progression, making sure you don't reach 115 overall way before the season is meant to end. So I know lots of people would like to see those nuts boost, but I do actually like the fact that it has been a bit more gradual in terms of the progression this year. Next up, we got customized players with headbands, costumes, etc. If you don't remember, we did have a Kawhi Leonard card. I don't know whether it was by accident or anything, but he wasn't wearing your typical NBA jersey and shorts. He was wearing like hoodies and tracky bottoms and all that stuff. We did have it in the past where you could have, I think, different versions of a JJ Redick card with different costumes, and just having that in the game would be very nice. Maybe you get special versions of cards depending on which path you take, and those will have different cosmetics. I think that'd just be fairly nice. It's just extra things to add to the game to make it a bit more fun. The final one we've got in this category is abilities. We haven't seen them properly since Season 4. This is like the clutch ability, inside the paint, buzzer beater, all of those ones. I don't know why EA removed them. I think it was because they were a bit too OP with what they were, but I think even just having, like, I don't know, an ankle breaker one where someone could just press the button, you get a guaranteed ankle breaker instead of a guaranteed make. A guaranteed ankle breaker might have been a bit more fun, or maybe they just limit those abilities a little bit more, or you could only have one ability per team, as in like your starting 5, only one player could have an ability, maybe something like that to manage it a little bit more. But they are quite fun to have, and I'm fairly lucky to have some on my multi-year lineup to be able to use. When I go into showdown, PvP, all of that stuff, I can use that in the game, which is nice. So it'd be really nice to see EA bring something like that in a bit more managed way than we had previously. And the final category is going to be events. The first suggestion we had was bring back concepts and features from Season 1 and Season 4, like cornucopia packs. And there are a bunch of different things that we could add from Season 1. And of of course, season 4, probably the best seasons in NBA Live Mobile. If I had to pick, it would be season 1 being the best season we've ever had in the game. Having features from them would be very nice, and surely they can't be that hard to implement in the game. You could just go back and watch like old YouTubers videos. I know the game code has probably changed here and there, so it's not exactly the same, but you could just watch how the layout was sort of run and then tweak it a little bit so it could be put into season 9. Cornucopia packs would be absolutely so much fun to end off the season with. And then of course into season 9, maybe having them at staggered points, maybe once every quarter, just having them in the game would be so much fun, and making them coin packs would be even better. The second suggestion was autoplay options on events, and again, this would be very nice, especially if you have to play, say, a 2-minute 30 quarter just to get yourself a couple of extra 100 points. Just being able to autoplay that, if you've got a decent team, you're guaranteed to win. Instead of having to wait, it's basically just simulating the event for you. So you just press the button, tells you you've won, and then you're guaranteed to go ahead and get through it. Of course, it would be a risk, so maybe you could put, I don't know, an 80% chance of success of getting through the event, just so there'd be a chance of failure instead of actually going ahead and playing through the event yourself. But having that autoplay mode would be fairly fun. And the last one is having more campaigns. I believe this season we only had one single campaign. EA never went back to it and added some extra ones. I did a whole separate video on campaigns and why I believe they were wasted potential. But yeah, having new ones would make the game a lot more fun and just give you a lot of extra stuff to go ahead and play when there's a promo you don't necessarily want to play, or there's no promo at all. That it just give you something extra to go ahead and play through. But yeah, those are all the features that I went through and I thought were worth putting in this video. If you want to go check out my fan-made season 9 trailer, you can go do so. It should be popping up in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'll see you guys in that one. Peace.